Hey guys, I'm Rachel Lynn for Queen Bee of Honeydews, and today I'm out in my yard setting up some holiday decorations. And every year I try to use up some of my scrap wood to build some really cool holiday projects. Today I want to show you these so adorable Halloween lanterns that I built. They're really easy, and since I use scrap lumber for this, they cost me absolutely nothing to build. But before we get started, I just want to say, if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do so, and stick around to the end of this video because I'm going to show you guys how I set up all of my jack-o'-lanterns to remote control. For this project, I'm just using some leftover cedar fencing that is 6 inches wide. And for each lantern, I'm going to cut 4 sections that are equal length. For my lanterns, I'm doing a 12-inch, a 9-inch, and a 6-inch. For each lantern, I'm going to adhere a face to one of the sections. Then, using my jigsaw, I'm just going to cut out the pattern. Now, I made these patterns on my Photoshop software, but you can always find some online. Just Google some vectors for some Halloween faces, and you should be able to find plenty to use. Next, I assembled my lantern boxes using some wood glue and my nail gun. Now, you can forego the nail gun and just use some clamps if you don't have one, and everything will still hold just fine. The one thing that I do want to point out is that I made sure that the exposed edges were facing the sides of the lantern. This results in lantern boxes that are slightly deeper than they are wide. So to make the tops and bottoms for these, I'm going to first have to measure the interior and the exterior of the box. Then back over with the miter saw, I'm going to cut 2 of each of those measurements. For the interior piece, I actually cut it 1/8 inch smaller on the length and width. Now to assemble the top, I'm just going to attach the small section to the larger section. And to make sure that I have it centered, I'm going to place one of the lanterns upside down onto the piece. And I just want to make sure that the small section is perfectly centered on the interior of their lantern, while the larger section is flush with the edges of the outside of the lamp. Once I'm sure that I have everything perfectly aligned, I'm just going to use my nail gun to attach everything in place permanently. Next, I'm just going to flip that piece over, and then I'm going to take that second smaller section that I previously cut, and I'm going to attach it to the top, trying to get it perfectly centered as well, but this piece isn't quite as important as the other one. Now I just want to quickly show you how these lids fit together. You can see how that piece just snugly holds the top to the lantern. And if you want to elaborate, you can continue to add more and more layers to that lid. But let's move on to the bottom now. I like to do the bottom last because it's much more difficult to do that lid if you already have the bottom attached. But for the bottom, it's just simply adding a little bit of wood glue to it, lining it up with the edges, and then attaching it with your nail gun, or if you're using clamps, just clamp everything in place and allow it to dry overnight. And that's it. If you're using cedar like I did, you can leave it in this raw state, or you can go ahead and add some stain and jazz them up a bit. This is how my lanterns looked in the raw state without any kind of stain on it, but I decided that I did want to go back and add a little bit of a more rustic finish, so I added just a little bit of a stain to it. Okay guys, so as promised, I told you I would show you how I set up all of my jack-o'-lanterns to remote control. And inside this box, I have, instead of one of those little candles that doesn't really do much to light up anything, I use puck lights. And the puck lights that I have, I'm going to leave a link below. And they come in like a pack, I believe, of 4, but you can also get add-ons or you can buy them in singles. And all the lights will sync together and run off of one remote. And the really cool thing about this remote is you can make it as dim as you want or as bright as you want, so it works for big items as well as small. And it has a timer, so you can turn it to run for 2 hours, which is perfect if you don't want to have to get up and turn it off again later. But this is a really cool thing to have for your outdoor jack-o'-lanterns. And if you're interested in that, just check out the link below and it will take you right over to where you can get some of these.